Hi guys. So I'm on live today to talk about Bloom Festival uh, that I'll be teaching at up in the Northern Rivers on 7th to 10th of July. And Ash Rubin who's the producer, is about to get on and interview me about that. And we're going to talk about all of the amazing, juicy things that are happening in that festival, and about some of you might have even been to it. The two circles that I run here in Melbourne, I'm going to be doing it up in the Northern Rivers at this amazing embodiment festival. So I'm just waiting for Ash to come on. So I can see some of you are here. Hi, Trina. You're so lovely. Hi, Ash.
Hi.
There
Had
you
to
are.
rotate my phone this time. I wasn't expecting
Uh-huh.
that. Well, it's every single time I do a live on Facebook, it's like a subtly unique, slightly different experience. So
Yeah.
let's get the angle right so you can see my beautiful face. Maybe I'll bring myself up a little bit. Ah. Facebook, the things I do for you.
I
There we go.
appreciate it, Ash. Thank you.
Okay, let's dive in. So, Luna, hello. Such a pleasure
Hi.
to see you today. Today, I'm going to be interviewing Luna about the magic work that you do and the workshop that you're going to be running at Bloom Festival. So, we've got this really special, beautiful festival coming up. It's going to be in July. There's going to be loads of really powerful embodiment workshops. We've got a lot of my best friends coming. It's in beautiful nature. We're bringing the play and the fun and the adventure of a festival and the intentionality and the maturity of like a sacred embodiment retreat. And yeah, there's going to be all sorts of people there. There's going to be the movement people and the dance people and the sexuality people. And I see this like blending of cultures, and it's going to be a really good time. And we have Luna here, one of our like really gifted, talented facilitators who's good. And today you're going to unpack a bit about what it is that you're going to be bringing to the festival. But first, I want to introduce you and tell the people how amazing you are. Luna is a sexuality educator. You're a certified somatic sexologist, trauma informed, a spiral prac, a sex coach, a yoni mapping practitioner. You've got a lot of like arrows in your quiver. And overall, Luna, from my own personal experience, I can really see that Luna is a real passionate champion of erotic liberation and self pleasure and heart opening goodness. So I'm really pleased to be here interviewing you, Luna, and I'm really excited to hear what you have to say. Yeah,
Thanks,
so
Ash.
welcome.
Thank you for having me, and thanks for setting this up. And hi, Katie. Nice to see you. Such a beautiful way to be introduced. It like drops right into the core of me to hear somebody else talk about all of the kind of pieces that I've pulled together to kind of thread my magic to be able to bring it to people and help them kind of unravel the stuff that keeps them stuck in their sexuality and not having the experiences that they want to have. So yeah, feels
Yeah,
good.
yeah. We'll go a little bit deeper into that, but first, you're running a workshop. It's called Two Circles: A Ritual of Connection.
Mm.
I'm really curious. Tell us about Two Circles. Why did you pick this workshop? Why is it important? What is it?
Yeah, this is one of the most important workshops that I run, or pieces of work that I do, because it really gives people an opportunity to experience firsthand, not just in themselves, but in interaction with other people, what it's like to feel your own energy, to feel your embodied yes and your embodied no thanks. I teach them how to feel that kind of maybe feeling where you're like, oh, I don't know if it's a yes or a no. And then kind of give some language and some opportunity to practice that with people. It's kind of based on the principles of Tantra with a really healthy dose of consent thrown in. So one of the participants was like, I love how you snuck a consent workshop into a Tantra ritual. And really it is that, because in order to fully engage in our eros, which really is just life force energy, it's just like how we be present with another human and with ourselves, we actually need to know how consent runs through our bodies, right? We need to know what the sensations are that we're feeling and how to translate them into words and express them. And so this workshop gives people an experiential opportunity to do that by kind of dropping into ever deepening layers of connection with themselves and others. So it starts really simply with some embodied practice, finding yes and no in our system, and then moving into randomly partnered activities. Maybe do some eye gazing, answer a really kind of intimate question, right through to kind of like some movement practice and some making requests, and maybe there'll be some touch or maybe not. Maybe you get to express your desire for something, or kind of find a way to safely say no for yourself. All the while there's amazing music and lots of fun going on.
Mm.
Yeah.
This feels really useful and important, especially at a festival, because like when you go to a festival, you've got all these potential opportunities and all these interesting people, maybe some sexy people, and it's like a lot of possibilities for connection, which can actually be quite overwhelming. It can be like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do this. What do I want? I don't know. I'm leaning in, I'm going for it, which is like thrilling and exciting. But what you seem to be standing for, what I'm hearing, is a real deep connection to your embodied yes and your embodied no, and the ability to hear your body's wisdom, to like tune in. It's like what am I actually a yes for? Not in theory, but actually in my body. What does my nervous system really want and need? And I find when the more tuned in I am to my nervous system and the more clearly I can hear my own body, the more grounded and mature my decisions are. Um, so yeah, I wanted to speak to that as something that seems like it's really beautiful that you're offering.
Yeah, it's really true, Ash. So often we make our decisions from our mind because we think we want a thing, or we've been wanting this thing in our mind for such a long time. And then when we actually get to the doing of it, or the moment even before the doing of it, our bodies send us a message. And unless we know how to listen to that, we might find ourselves somewhere down the track of an engagement with someone suddenly checking out. You know, lots of my
Yeah.
clients in my one-to-one coaching say to me, I want to get out of my head and into my body. And really the key is to start to listen to your body, because we're going to check out if we're not listening and our body says, I can't tolerate this anymore. It just stops feeling. It's like that's its mechanism. So we start right back at the very basics of like, how do you know what you want and what you don't want? And then when you can feel that inside you, how do you then find language to ask for it? So,
Mm.
yeah, in a really kind of pared back, slow, safe, but also kind of fun and playful way, right? So there's also an opportunity for people to notice, I'm in this interaction with someone. It's not exactly what I thought I signed up for. Or like, I don't know if it's ever happened to you where you're like, someone
Mm.
says to you, can I do this thing to you? Or will you do this thing? Get in this interaction and you're all like, fuck yeah, that's definitely what I want. And at some point, your system sends you a message that is like, oh, this isn't what we want anymore. It doesn't have to be some horrible traumatic experience, but so often we override those messages too. So this circle, these two circles, gives people an opportunity to really slow down, notice those,
Mm.
and to receive a thank you from the person in front of them. To kind of receive a gratitude for dropping into your own self. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Veronica, I see your question. Can you always trust your body? What about trauma in your body? That is a great question. I'm going to come
Yeah.
back to that in a sec. Um, I want to speak to the point that you're making, Luna, and the thing that lands me about that is that consent is not one conversation. It's a way of being. It's like having continual attunement to your own body in any moment, but like consent is moment by moment, and also attunement to the other person's body, and feeling into what they're consciously up for, and how their body is responding. And when we can have that depth of attunement, it opens up a world of pleasure and satisfaction, because we don't have these like defense patterns in the nervous system that are playing out.
Yeah, I really talk about that. Consent is an inside job.
Mm-hmm.
I talk about consent as a self-respect piece, actually, because yes, there is that element of making sure we don't overstep somebody else's boundaries. But if we're that person, if we don't know our boundaries and are not able to speak them, then we're at risk of them being overridden. So yeah, really that moment to moment ability to check in and acknowledge yourself and what's going on. And I think that, just on that trauma piece, yeah, we all have pieces of trauma, and trauma can make us feel like it's unsafe to be in our own bodies. And therefore, we're a lot checked out. And how do we know? And so the thing I would say about that is to slow down, to really slow down. The other thing I say about consent, that I teach about consent, is that there are 3 ways to know if you have someone's consent. So the first one would be they tell you the thing, they say yes or no. The second one would be their body language. So they might say yes, but they're like closed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or they're pulling back while they're saying yes or something. And actually the third one is how it feels for us. That when we tune into what they're saying to us, do we feel clear? What is our body telling us? What is our nervous system telling us as it's co-regulating with their nervous system? And so these circles kind of teach us some of those things as well.
Yeah, I love that. And it almost seems like the listening to the body is the part of the pathway of healing that trauma.
Yeah, definitely. To start to listen in a safe way as a kind of titration of our experience. So when we have trauma, it's been that our nervous system has been overwhelmed in some way. Something has happened to it that it can't cope with. Big, right? And so then experiences start to feel big and overwhelming. And so if we titrate, and by that I mean just have really tiny pieces of the medicine of feeling the body, then we can start to build an experience of safety in feeling. And so to the person who asked about trauma, if you have trauma, the thing that I would say is the most useful is to slow down. Yeah, to find a way to say, just need to take a pause on that and actually just tune in, to titrate your own experience of being in your body. Maybe through really simple things like doing a regular yoga nidra practice when you're in a safe environment, so that then you can start to notice what it feels like in your body before you take it out into the world and interact it with other people in our crazy environment.
I love that. And what happens like when you have a deep practice of slowness with yourself and with another over time? There's a repatterning, right? Like what happens to the nervous system over time?
Are you asking me what happens?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like what's the journey like if a person really is in their slowness and really grounded, and that becomes a part of how they operate in the world, how does that change things for a person?
Yeah, it's such a good question, Ash. It's something around, so I kind of look at this stuff, I kind of take a hybrid view, because the sexological bodywork training is very nervous system focused. And all of the Tantra work that I've done is very energy and spirit focused. And actually what I think is that they're both describing the same things, just in different language. And so for me, I take a line sort of somewhere in the middle and use bits of both language and both concepts. And this idea of slowness and nervous system safety, it's about capacity for me. It's about bandwidth. So if you imagine your emotional bandwidth might be kind of this big. So anything that happens in there is safe and fine. So positive things, negative things, we don't have to label them one or the other, although as humans we often do. They're all just, all emotions are just sensations in the body. They're just kind of the
Yeah.
nervous system pathways moving. And so the strength of that will feel safe in here. And so when you slow down, you actually allow your system, you give your system more capacity to feel. And so more becomes safe until
Yeah.
you get more and more and more bandwidth to actually feel more things. So that's more pleasure, more good things. Your body will start to have more sensation in it. And you'll also have more capacity to feel things that have previously been really uncomfortable, that we might label as negative. And if you're looking for a place of like, where is the nth degree of that? Like, how far can I go with that concept of more capacity and delabeling things negative and positive? And the answer is that at a certain point, and I've experienced this, any emotion just becomes a physical sensation in your body that can be associated with pleasure. And so I've had full body orgasms from being sad, grief gasms,
Mm. Mm.
right? Anger
Yeah.
gasms, dance floor orgasms. So once we get this capacity to hold, everything becomes pleasurable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. There's so much freedom in that. So much freedom, so much permission
Yeah.
to like pursue whatever we want and not worry about getting overridden or um, blown out. It's like,
Yeah.
it's very expansive, very powerful. Yeah.
Yeah. Once we
So
feel
to
safe
bring,
enough in our nervous systems to feel, then we can feel anything and everything, and it's okay.
yeah, so cool. And this is a journey. This is like a practice. This is a way of living.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm excited about your workshop at Bloom. Firstly, because people are going to get a taste of what it feels like to slow down and really hear their bodies. Like that feels powerful. Secondly, they're doing it in a group space. It's like I think a lot of the stories that we hear that keep us in the rush and disconnected are about what other people want and need and think. So when we rewrite these patterns in a group setting, it can have a really powerful impact. And just like I know your workshop is going to be one of the first in the festival, so I think it's going to set up a really solid foundation for people to be in that space of consent throughout the whole experience, and then get to do little experiments with consent throughout the journey.
Yeah, I'm really stoked about it being like straight up, like here's the setting the tone of the festival is like, here's some consent stuff, here's some movement stuff, here's some embodiment stuff, here's some vulnerability, here's some being witnessed by people in my vulnerability, here's some dancing, here's some awesome music. It's like, yeah, this thing is like built for your festival to set the tone, and I'm really so excited about it. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
beautiful. I love that. I love that. Luna, I'm like curious about your personal journey. I'd love to hear a little bit more about like you've developed a really deep maturity in practicing these tools for yourself and serving other people with them. But like what inspired you to take these tools on and what was that like for you?
Yeah. Thanks for asking that. I think
Mm.
um, so. I think sometimes you are. It's like almost like that that piece I said about capacity. It's like um, I had to relearn it in a way. So um, I had a really unsettled growing up and moved around a lot and didn't have a lot of grounded safety. What I did learn was to hold myself through difficult situations. What I didn't learn was how to self-regulate and manage my emotions. And so I had a really long time of being really poorly regulated, really like by looking back at my life, I've been able to see the patterns that we all have, it kind of almost in an extreme version. And so at a certain point, I was like, well, fuck, this is not working anymore. I'm not able to connect with people in ways that I want to. I just keep going around in circles. And so I just started getting therapy and I started moving my body and, oh, hey, B, hey, Robbie. I started kind of doing the embodiment journey without knowing that that's exactly what I was doing. And what I
Correct.
really soon realized was that I did have a deep connection to my body, and that I knew, I had some deep knowing that there is more to this life, more to how I can be and express myself and feel than what I'm shown in social media, in the media, by my family, that there was something else. And so I just searched around for a bit and I had lovers and I'd be like, oh, can we read this book on Tantra? Can we go to this workshop? And I just kept getting met with resistance. And so I just kept trying. It's like really a kind of story of perseverance. I went and I skilled up. I became a social worker. So I learned how to hold space for other people. I then became a nurse. So I got even deeper into the nitty gritty of human bodies. And along the way, I did a bunch of workshops until finally I went to a sexuality festival and my mind was blown open. Like literally just like walking around being like, are all these people living how I've wanted to live my whole life? And so from then I was like, I set myself a really clear intention actually to spend the next year figuring out what it was I needed to bring into my life to live in a way that made me feel whole and fulfilled. So I spent a year just figuring it out. And then I spent a year going to get it. I actually was like, okay, I'm going to do a bunch of trainings. I trained in sexological body work. I spent a year. I did ISTA, did a bunch of other things. I got yoni mapping and like heaps of stuff. Did lots of reading. I spent a year calling those things in and actually doing them. And then I spent a whole nother year just living them and refining and refining and refining. And so that's about a 5-year journey from the moment that I said to myself, I have to do something consciously about this. I've been floating around on my own without support, trying to do this by myself, and I can't anymore. I need to get support and I need to make this my life's goal. So yeah, 5 years to get to like having sad orgasms and being a pretty grounded presence, holding space for other people to have their kind of erotic discoveries and teaching at festivals and running workshops. And yeah, that's the journey. And it's still ongoing because, of course, we're never fixed. It's never some like layers of an onion. You just get more and more subtle layers of refinement are possible.
Yeah, I love that phrase, sad orgasms. Yeah, that's good. And I really admire your persistence and your determination and your dedication to like discovering wholeness and pleasure in your own body, and then the choice to step into leadership and really serve people in that space and bring your wisdom takes a lot of courage. I admire you for that. Um, and I'm curious, like if people want to go deeper with you,
Yeah.
like how can they reach out to you? What is it that you offer people? Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks for bringing that up. So there's a few different ways people can work with me. So I offer one-to-one sexuality coaching, which is kind of like a cross between like sexology, or it's kind of like sex therapy and hands-on modality. So we do a bit of both because really the body, somatically, the body is the key to all of these things. We can be up in our minds heaps. Not much is going to change unless we start to feel it in our bodies. So the one-to-one coaching, either online or so either by Zoom or in person here in Melbourne. I also offer that same thing to couples. So lots of couples feel a disconnect. Like, how can they find a way to actually make love, to be connected and safe? And so I offer that under the kind of umbrella of couples tantric massage, but so much more is happening than in the 4 hour session than me just teaching them to massage each other. I'm actually teaching them to see each other and feel each other. I also am a spiral practitioner. So spiral is one of the ways that I have found that has been one of the most amazing ways to kind of clear out the kind of junk of my system, the things that are holding me back and have been vibrating in me, the kind of dogma or the programming that got put in there, in conjunction with all of the other work that I've been doing. So I offer that to people as well, with a kind of focus on their sexuality and their eros. I also run regular workshops down here in Melbourne. So yeah, all of that stuff. I'm on social media, Luna Darling, Instagram, Luna Rose Darling, and I have a website which is dire need of an update, and it's on its way, but that's lunadarling.com.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yes. That the 4 hour couples thing sounds really powerful.
It's so amazing. It blows my heart open every single time when we finish the session and we have a debrief about how was that for you, and they're just like, whoa, like, thanks so much. I didn't know this thing about my partner, and like, we're so excited to go home and try these things together. And it's really it's really heart expanding for me to bring that to people.
Gorgeous. Gorgeous. If you want to meet Luna and 23 other incredible, talented leaders in the fields of embodiment and movement and many other categories, come check out Bloom. You can, Luna, you can drop the website in the description. If you want to, come meet us, come hang out. Like, we're all going to be there and we're all going to be having a good time. Come have a dance with us, or just a chat. It would be beautiful. Luna, if there's someone sitting on the fence, they're like, they want to take the leap into maybe meeting a new community or trying out some new embodied experiences, and they're uncertain about whether or not they want to come, what message do you have for these people?
So good. So I often talk about this sense of the resilient edge of resistance. So we have this space that's kind of pretty close to us where everything feels fairly safe. And then we have like way, way out in the distance, like, whoa, that's freaking me out, like jumping out of an airplane. And somewhere in there, there's a space that feels a little bit uncomfortable, but it's still safe. It's called the resilient edge of resistance. And so my encouragement is, if you're on the fence, if you can feel your heart beating, or it's like, oh, you've got some excitement, but there's some resistance, is to actually lean into that vulnerability, to lean into that space, knowing that we learn best right on that edge of a little bit excited and a little bit scared. My encouragement is to find that place for yourself and lean right into it, knowing that me and Ash and the 27 other facilitators will kind of keep you safe and hold you through whatever is coming up for you. We're all highly trained and skilled, and also you can choose your own level of participation. So lean in, know it's going to be scary, but you're also going to be a-okay.
Yeah, gorgeous. I love that. I feel you've got this real safe energy about you. Like, I feel like if I was a little kid at kindergarten, I would be like gravitating towards you and just kind of holding on to you. There's a real safety about the energy that you bring, which opens me up, and I feel opens our community up. So thank you for bringing that
thanks,
safety.
Ash. I've really cultivated that safety because I know that the work of sexuality is edgy and terrifying for people. and that having a safe person to explore it with is like one of the most important things that we can have to actually shift that, what's going on for us. So yeah, thanks for seeing that.
Mm, cool.
Mm.
Well, I think we're pretty much finished. Is there anything else that you'd like to share before we finish up, or does that feel complete?
Uh, well, actually, just one little bonus for anyone who's made it all the way through this live. If you're coming up, there is a discount code. And so if you message me, I will send you the discount code for the tickets.
Gorgeous. Great. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, Luna, thank you very much. Hope you have a beautiful day, and I'll see you at the festival.
Thanks, Ash. I'll see you in a few weeks. Mwah.
Okay, bye-bye.